Hello and welcome back to Tresco Abbey Garden, and thank you for joining me once again. Now, May has just been non-stop here at Tresco. We've had a dozen or so cruise ships, tours, a television crew and even an ultra marathon briefly visit the grounds. The weather has been summery and dry, so watering in, establishing plants has been essential. But enough chat, I've got a lot to show you today, so let's get on with it. This strikingly handsome plant is Xeronema callistemon, otherwise known as the Poor Knight's Lily, named after the small group of islands off the coast of New Zealand to which it is endemic to. It's got these bold, fleshy, sword-shaped leaves similar to that of an iris and may spend 10 to 15 years growing before putting out these incredible bottlebrush-like flower spikes. Now, the specific epithet callistemon is of Greek origin and means beautiful stamen. I think we can all agree it's spot on the money there. This delightful little cluster of plants behind me is Blatilla striata, or the Chinese ground orchid, and as the name suggests, is a terrestrial orchid native to Asia. Now, interestingly, parts of the plant are used as a glue for silk strings and traditional Chinese instruments. That's a wonderful plant to have in the garden. You see, in sandy soils it can withstand winter temperatures of -10 degrees and returns in spring with the attractive pleated foliage and intricate magenta pink flowers. Here beside me is Jovelana violacea, or the violet teacup flower, and my goodness me, what a treasure it is. It's a semi-evergreen shrub to about 2 meters, native to Chile. At this time of year, it's covered in the sweetest little blooms you'll ever see. And these tiny bell-shaped inflorescents are reminiscent of that of the foxglove, and you have to lift them up to gaze inside at their speckled interior. This plant is used frequently around the garden, which is great because I just can't get enough of it. Here we have Entilia arborescens, otherwise known as wow. It's native to New Zealand and makes an evergreen shrub to around about 6 meters. Now, as you can see, it has these incredible large lime-like leaves which add a real tropical touch to the garden. It's fairly fussy in its requirements. It doesn't like cold temperatures or strong winds, dislikes full shade and dry or even over wet soil, but in the right spot will reward you with a profusion of these lightly scented white flowers which develop into characterful bristly brown seed capsules. Other names include New Zealand lightwood or corkwood because of its extremely low density wood, which was used traditionally by Maori as fishing net floats. Here we have Bechoneria yuccoides, or the Mexican lily, and as the name implies, is a native to Mexico. It creates these stemless rosettes of soft, strappy, greyish-green leaves to around about 60 centimetres. As you can see, it's in flower at the moment, producing these distinct and unmissable pinkish-red flower spikes that carry dozens of relatively inconspicuous green-tipped nodding flowers, embellished with these pink bracts. Now, it thrives in heat and drought and dislikes freezing temperatures, but can be grown outside in relatively mild climates or coastal environments in a free draining soil. This vigorous looking plant is Dipogon lignosus, otherwise known as the oaky bean, and it's native to forest margins in South Africa's Cape province. It has another common name, the Cape sweet pea, and you can see the resemblance it shares to the popular cut flowers. Like many vigorous climbers, it has become an invasive problem in parts of the world, and there's a particular issue in Australia where it smothers native flora and spreads rapidly with its explosive seed pods. Unfortunately, it's not able to self-seed here yet, and we encourage it to grow up the pollarded remains of the giant Pahutacaris. Behind me are the extraordinarily architectural flower spikes of Puya chilensis, a terrestrial bromeliad native to the arid hillsides of Chile. And as you can see, it forms vast clumps of greyish-green leaves which have nasty serrated hooks at the margins. Now, it's a particularly unpleasant plant to work with, and it's actually rumoured to entangle sheep and feast on their rotting corpses. And we grow some really interesting Puya specimens here, but this one behind me is exceptionally special. You see, Tresco received this plant back in the mid-19th century from Loddigi's nursery, who in turn got the plant from none other than Charles Darwin a few years before that, and it's strongly believed that these come from a clump that travelled with him on his voyage on the Beagle across the world. This is Greya Sutherlandii, or the Natal bottlebrush. It's a small deciduous tree to around about 7 metres and is endemic to South Africa and has attractive reddish hues to the leaves before they drop. As you can see at the moment, it's in flower with these wonderfully unique, closely packed scarlet bottlebrush-like blooms. The leaves themselves are attractive in their own right with their coarsely toothed margin, similar to that of a quaking aspen or a zonal pelargonium. Here in a sheltered, shaded part of the garden we have Brugmansia sanguinea, or the red angel's trumpet, which is perhaps one of the most robust Brugmansias out there and will be producing these slender trumpet-like flowers for the coming 5 months or so. It is native to tropical South America and can be found growing in the lowlands of the Andes from Chile to Colombia. And unfortunately, this plant and the 6 other species in the genus are extinct in the wild, so can only be found growing in cultivation. Now, this plant belongs to the nightshade family, and like many of its relatives, have poisonous alkaloids, but this has found use in shamanic rituals from the indigenous South Americans for the past hundreds, if not thousands, of years. This is Aeonium undulatum, or the stalked aeonium, so named because it produces these large succulent rosettes atop unbranched stems that can reach over 1 metre tall. It's native to Gran Canaria, where it is perhaps the largest of the aeoniums, producing these spectacular glossy green foliar displays that are 40 to 50 centimetres across. It may take 3 to 5 years before reaching flowering potential, but when it does, it creates these breathtakingly brilliant yellow pyramidal inflorescence. Here we have the astonishing chandelier-like flower spikes of the false agave, or Fucrea parmentieri. It's native to Mexico and a member of the asparagus family, which I suppose shouldn't come as a surprise when you see the resemblance the emerging flower spikes have to the edible vegetable. Now these have likely been growing here for 1 to 2 decades and will die in the following year, but only after producing hundreds of bulbils on the ends of these inflorescent stems, and these will swell and drop off and take root and create a clone army of these sensational plants. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and remember, do come back next month for more botanical beauties. Until then, goodbye.